Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Perspective with Viv podcast. My name is Viv, and this is the show. Today's title is Self-Hypnosis with Michelle Walters. Michelle Walters is a clinical hypnotherapist and AI advocate who helps people release old thought patterns and step into more empowered versions of themselves. After years in digital marketing and a deeply personal loss that changed everything, Michelle turned her focus to the mind, discovering how language and imagery could reshape our inner world. She's also the creator of MakeMyHypno, an app that uses AI and Michelle's own soothing scripts to deliver personalized hypnosis recordings in minutes. Today, we'll talk about what self hypnosis really is, how it helps you rewrite your mental programming, and why personalized wellness powered by AI might just be the next evolution in healing. Hi, Michelle. Thank you for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for joining. So let's dive right into the questions. You've been described as a voracious imagination advocate. What does that mean to you personally?
I think that people need to spend a lot of time playing with their imagination. I think imagination is one of our greatest gifts, and it's one that an awful lot of people sort of just turn off or just don't spend enough time sort of recognizing its value and its worth. So, whether it's daydreaming or journaling or writing or what was the other one? Oh, dreaming. All of these things I think are, oh, and reading. Reading is really good for the imagination. It makes you imagine, what's going on. I think these are wonderful things, and I'm a big advocate.
Oh, I love that. I'm also big on imagination as well and diving into creative practices because there's so much that you can create when you tap into your imagination because it's limitless. So I definitely agree with you. Now let's talk a bit about hypnosis. Hypnosis still carries a bit of mystery. What's the biggest myth you wish people would drop about it?
I think the biggest myth that is out there is that people somehow think that if you are in a state of hypnosis that somebody else can make you do something you don't want to do. And the truth is that that's just not possible. That's not how hypnosis works. Hypnosis is a consensual state of trance. You agree to be in that state. If you don't want to be in that state, you just open your eyes or stand up and walk away. Like there's nothing keeping you in that state except your attention. What hypnosis really is it is a way of listening and learning how to dial down certain parts of your brain so that you can kind of get out of your own way and be more accepting of suggestions that are going to take you in the direction you want to change to, be more focused, and also a little less associated with your body, which is one of the reasons why it helps people with things that are related to their body, like stopping smoking or losing weight or pulling your hair, things like that. It's a fantastic modality for solving a wide variety of problems. And I just love that I get to do this with people.
Thank you for sharing that. Do you remember your first personal experience with hypnosis? What shifted for you in that moment?
So I had a counselor, sort of psychic, sort of therapist kind of person named Karen. And when I met Karen, she started off doing readings for me, like telling me things that I didn't know somebody else could know about me. She was sort of magical in that way, but she was also a hypnotherapist. And when our time together and our work progressed, she started helping me with really, I would say, sort of getting control of my thoughts and learning how to not overspend my time in negativity or being down on something. And so she would I didn't realize it was hypnosis at the time. Now I totally see it. But at that time, I just thought, oh, this is just like working with Karen and she's just telling to me relax and she's very soothing. But what it really was a state of trance to help me with the stress and anxiety that I was experiencing at the time I went to see her. It was amazing.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, let's talk about your corporate career. You had a thriving corporate career in digital marketing before becoming a clinical hypnotherapist. Is your experience with Karen something that inspired that leap, or was it a personal experience on its own?
They were separate. My corporate experience started before I met Karen. I worked for a consulting company and then I went to business school. And then I decided I wanted to work in marketing and direct marketing, which direct marketing sort of turned into digital marketing. in the mid 90s. I met Karen along the way because my boss thought she could help me. So my boss sent me off to her psychic, which turned out to be a hypnotherapist and did help me in ways I would have never predicted. My corporate career lasted for many, many years as I worked sometimes for the corporation itself, sometimes for their hired out agency, usually working on things like their websites or their banner campaigns or their email campaigns or various online promotions. And I worked for all kinds of different companies. I worked for energy companies and financial technology companies. I worked at Google at one point. I worked on Clorox and consumer packaged goods. It was a wonderful career in that it provided me a great deal of creativity, and we were always doing digital marketing. There's always something new, always something new. And that was a lot of fun. And then during the pandemic, one of the jobs I was working on ended. I worked for a Spanish bank, and they decided during the pandemic they didn't want to do business in America at that time. And I read a book of all, well, actually, I read the book before that. I read the book before the pandemic, read a book called A Hypnotist Love Story that was about a hypnotherapist. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could do that. That could be me. I could have that job. And so I trained and learned how to do it. And then during the pandemic, after that loss of my job with the Spanish bank, I rented an office and started seeing clients. And I love the work that I get to do with people. I see clients both in my office as well as online and help them change their thinking patterns from something that they're doing or thinking that's not serving them to something that serves them much better. It's very rewarding work.
I can imagine because at the end of the day, you're doing something that changes people's lives. One thing I love about hypnosis is the fact that you tap into the subconscious and you can change the programming there, as you said before. And that just drives people to do better and be better than they would be on a normal level without that session with you. So, my question is, and it's something that I'm very curious to know, were there surprising overlaps between marketing and hypnosis, especially around persuasion, language, and emotion?
Many people are like, they're so different. And I'm like, no, they're so similar. Both fields are very creative and both fields are very persuasive. And while they have different sort of technologies, like how you set up a website or an email is a specific technical skill set, and hypnosis has its own skill sets in terms of how do you induce trance, how do you help people get through trauma. The similarity really is, in my mind, is that we're learning to talk to people's minds. We're figuring out what stimulates people's minds, what makes them enthusiastic to take on a new habit personally, or what makes them curious to try a new product they've heard about. They're different, but they are similar. Sometimes I sort of say, marketing was hypnosis, but people didn't ask for it. In hypnotherapy, people have come to me saying, please help me get over my phobia. Please help me stop doing something I don't want to do anymore. So I guess you would say that hypnotherapy is consensual again, and marketing less consensual, more persuasive.
Thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting to see the similarities, but yes, there are some overlaps that make it easier to do your work better because you have that background. So that's really nice. There's no knowledge that is ever lost, it's just evolved. So that's a good example. Now, for someone new to it, what is self hypnosis really?
Self hypnosis is learning to take yourself into that state of trance. And it is often said that all hypnosis is self hypnosis because I'm not a magician. I can't force somebody to be in a state of hypnosis. They have to follow my lead and allow themselves to go into that space. So there are problems that are probably best solved or best navigated with one on one help from a clinical hypnotherapist like me. But there are other issues and problems where people can make huge progress by listening to a recording and learning to take themselves into that state of trance. Many times when I am working with a client one on one, we will incorporate recordings or self hypnosis activities that help that person kind of practice and get in that mindset between sessions with me. So I recommend self hypnosis for all kinds of things. It can help you with weight loss. It might not be everything you need, but it might be. It just depends on the person. It can help you with confidence. It can help you with releasing anxiety. It can help you with overwhelm, stress, so many, many things. And I love to talk about it and teach about it because I just know it empowers people to recognize how much power they have over their subconscious mind, how they can learn to listen to it and to guide it and to undo things they want to undo. And so I guess that's why I love self hypnosis so much.
Thank you for sharing that. Very enlightening. But what happens to the brain during hypnosis? What's the science behind the calm?
So, for years we kind of thought about hypnosis as paranormal. It was like ghosts or ESP or something like that. And the amazing thing is that in the last 10 years, I think, we have now recognized that while we don't know all about it, we do know that there is some science behind it. And this comes from studies of people who are in a state of hypnotic trance and they are sitting in an MRI machine, and we can look at their brains and see those sections of the brains that are dialed down. So while we don't know exactly how it works, we do know that there's a physical thing happening. There is a physical way that the brain is behaving that enables that state of trance. And, some people have very, very well developed ways in terms of putting themselves into states of trance, whether you want to call it hypnosis or something else. You can look at the people who walk on hot coals and don't get burned, or monks who take themselves into a state of trance. These are, essentially people who have reached a high degree of mastery with being able to intentionally dial down those parts of their brain so as to be more connected and able to use this technique.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can anyone be hypnotized, or do some people find it harder than others?
Most people can be hypnotized. There are people who find it harder than others. Most people, if they want to be hypnotized and they feel trusting of the process, can take themselves into a state of trance. There are a few people with some unusual disorders. There's actually a disorder where you don't have a sense of imagination. You can't imagine things being different. Yeah, it's real. There exists. Those people cannot be hypnotized, but almost anyone else can. I often tell people that if you have a good sense of imagination and you want to do it, then you will be successful.
Thank you for that. Now, what's one simple self hypnosis practice people can try at home today?
So, the easiest way to do self hypnosis is with a recording, because if you listen to a recording, then all you have to do is just do what that recording tells you to do. You can get free recordings for self hypnosis from lots of different places. You'll find them on YouTube and in apps and all kinds of places. I have a free recording for self hypnosis that you can get on my website. If you go to the freebies and sign up, it will email you an MP3 file and you can use that one. The trick for finding self hypnosis recordings is just finding ones that you like that speak to you. And what I realized a couple of months ago was, while there are great recordings, I've made some, many other great hypnotherapists have made other recordings. I have an Etsy store where you can buy pre-made recordings for a whole variety of topics. I realized a couple months ago that technology has changed, and that instead of buying or listening to an off-the-shelf recording, something that's already been pre-recorded, it is possible now with today's technology to make individuals their own custom hypnosis recording. And this is why I created my app called MakeMyHypno. So makemyhypno.com is a web app. It's not on your iPhone. You'll find it on a website, but it enables someone for a very reasonable price to say you want to have a recording made just for you, Viv. You put your name in there, you choose there's currently 19 different choices on there, including stress and anxiety and imposter syndrome and weight loss and exercise. There's lots and lots of choices. And then you choose where you want to imagine yourself being, because I don't know, you might like a tropical beach and somebody else might like a windy mountain. So you can put it where you want it to be. And then you can add in, there's kind of like an open input box. You can put in a favorite affirmation or something specific, like, I want to feel more confident at work. And it rolls all of this stuff together and uses my direction as to how to make a good hypnosis recording and script. And it produces it in my voice and it emails it to the purchaser in about 5 minutes. So while you can get self hypnosis recordings anywhere, I'm really excited to have this new app, MakeMyHypno.com, to be able to give people something that's, wasn't available before. It was only available
Yeah.
before working, independently with a clinical hypnotherapist. Now anybody can purchase any of these. You can't buy one for everything. Like, there's no phobias on
Hmm.
there. There's some things that I don't believe you should do this way, but there's a lot of choices.
It sounds remarkable, and also it also sounds like very futuristic and accessible for people because a lot of people may not know where to find it. But this seems like a personalized, tailored app that is specific to what people are going through, what people are looking for. So I really like the idea. And speaking of ideas, how did this idea for the web app come to life?
It's funny because I have this background in digital marketing and this background in hypnotherapy. And 3 or 4 months ago, I live in California, so not far from Silicon Valley. There's lots of entrepreneurs out here. And I thought, this AI train is coming and I can either get on the AI train or I could be run over. And I thought, I'm going to get on the train. And then this idea of how to make this came into my head and I got some help, and a couple months later I had an app. So now I'm just excited to be able to share this app with your listeners, the world, because I know it is so much more powerful than non-custom pre-recorded MP3s.
And when you talk about personalized hypnosis recordings, what makes them more powerful than a generic one?
Well, from having talked to my purchasers, what they say, some of them say, "Oh, the first time I heard my name in the recording, it kind of shocked me that I realized it was made for me." And then after the initial, like, "What? Oh, that's my name in there." They tend to like it because they realize that this recording is just for Holly or Beth or Joe. People also find that it is more motivational. So, for example, I had another podcaster actually listen to a pre recorded Get More Exercise recording. And then she had a personalized Make More Exercise recording. And the general one was okay, but she was like, it didn't have to do with what I wanted to do. It just basically told me to move more because that's what a pre recorded would. But the customized one, she could imagine going to her gym and lifting her weights and doing it at the time of day she wanted to. And she said, I went to the gym the next day. Like, much more motivational when you can hear the content that is specific to the individual's unique challenge.
Thank you for that. Now, how do you balance the human element with AI when it comes to emotional healing?
That is a giant question. Would say that I think self hypnosis and the recordings coming from my MakeMyHypno.com site are, I don't hide the fact that they're made by AI. And I want to hear from anybody who has a negative experience. It hasn't happened. It is helpful as a way to get a little bit of advancement, a little bit of help and change. When somebody has a bigger problem, when they need some emotional support, when they need some subconscious clearing, when they need maybe some regression therapy or some of the more advanced tools and techniques, it's really better to work with me or another clinical hypnotherapist one on one, because it's going to be a long time before AI can look at my client and see when the client's starting to shake or get a little nervous or needs a little more love or support, or you know go in, don't go in, that kind of a thing. AI is a long way from being able to do that human part of it. But can it make good recordings? Yeah, it can make some great recordings.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. So, where do you see the future of AI and mental wellness?
I think AI is going to kind of sit on the edges a little bit, like my app, for quite a while. there's a lot of people, I think, experimenting with using LLMs like ChatGPT or Claude or some of the other ones as a therapist, and there's a lot of risk in those situations. We've already heard about some people have had some very negative outcomes because it's hard to get the guardrails right. The thing that's cool about my app is that it's not trying to have a conversation with you about what you should do about your mother. It's just not. That's not its role. And that's one reason why I'm confident that my app and other things that are kind of helping you in these more fixed ways are going to be better places for AI to help people in a health and wellness way for the immediate future. Maybe not forever,
Definitely.
but we haven't figured that out yet. So
Yeah.
we have to kind of, go at the right speed.
Yes, but I definitely like the idea of using AI to create apps that help you make something like self hypnosis and hypnosis more accessible. I think it's when we're able to find that fusion and that balance between human and AI, we can really push the wellness industry forward with what it is that we produce. Because these apps, these interfaces that people can use to get what it is that they want. Because I interviewed a guest of mine, I think earlier this year, where she has a tapping app, so her app has different scripts for different things. She also personalizes it as well. So she asks you, what do you need? Tapping for anxiety, tapping for let me stop smoking. And I just thought that that was just so amazing. So I love the blend of technology and, wellness to create something that makes it more accessible to um the target audience, because a lot of people may not be able to afford sessions, but having an app really just it makes things move forward. It makes this closer to people as a service, because it is a service. So I really
It
like
makes it
that.
more approachable and easier to
Yes.
get to and kind of always present. One of the ways I built my app to be is that your personalized recordings are not you don't have to go into the website to use them every time. They actually get emailed directly to you. And I wanted it set up that way because that way you can save that recording. You can save that recording to your phone, you can save it to your computer, your tablet, and you can listen to it whenever you want. You don't have to be online to listen to it. So you can listen to it when you're on an airplane. You can listen to it when you're on a family trip or camping. It'll still work. One of the things that people should know is that hypnotherapy and self-hypnosis are helpful when they are repeated. The subconscious likes to hear things over and over and over again. And I want people to realize that, when you purchase one of my scripts, I would recommend that you use it. I mean, 20 times, it depends on you and how it's working for you. But, you don't want to just listen to it's not a one-time thing. You're going to listen to it several times in order for it to maximize its impact. And then I recently added an ability to buy a bundle. So if you are the sort of person who goes, oh, I want to buy one for stress and one for exercise and one for imposter syndrome, you can buy a bundle of them and then use each individually script for whatever purpose you want to use it for.
That sounds so impressive. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Now, have you had any stories from people that have used your app that have moved you?
Well, I got up my confidence and asked a friend of mine who's another hypnotherapist to listen to the app. And I thought, oh, this is the real test. What will another hypnotherapist think of my creation? And to my delight, he was like, Michelle, it's great. He said, well, the beginning is a little slow, but I'm a hypnotherapist. I like it faster, so that's probably fine. But the words it used and the way it described what I wanted it to do were just outstanding. And the fact that this is so easy to create, to receive, and to listen to, it's just exciting for me to think that someone in my line of work recognizes the value of this creation.
Yes, that's so sweet. Now, as we come to the end of the podcast episode, I wanted to ask you what you would like to leave my listeners with in terms of like your final message.
So, I would like your listeners to know that I'm Michelle Walters and I help people with their mindset, their message, and their momentum. And I would be happy to meet them or talk to them. Your listeners are welcome to visit my website and my classes page and connect with me. My website is michellewalters.net. And my other website with the app on it, you can get there from the homepage, but it's called MakeMyHypno.com. MakeMyHypno. And if it's okay with you, Viv, I will give you a special link you can put in the show notes, and your listeners can get a discount if they choose to purchase on the app.
Thank you. I would love that. Thank you so much. Listeners, if today's conversation got you curious, you can find Michelle at michellewalters.net, as she mentioned, or on social media at Michelle Walters Hypno. You can also try Make My Hypno to experience what personalized self hypnosis feels like. As always, thank you for tuning in. If this episode made you think differently about your own mind and hypnosis, share it with someone who could use a little inner reset. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.